Hi, everybody. It is episode 541 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It is Monday, December 23rd, 2024, and I am Chris. With me is Drew.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Yeah, I'm here.
We're getting started early this week because Christmas is on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
Yep.
so... And normally we would record on a Tuesday, but it's Christmas Eve on Tuesday, and so it's a little hard to record on Tuesday. So, Monday works. That's fine.
Yeah. Knock things out.
Yeah.
We all watched a movie, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's at least one thing to talk about.
That's my part. Don't get into that yet. That's my part. I gotta talk about this.
You got a what?
You said we all watched a movie, and that's my thing. I'm usually one that say, like, here's the breakdown of the episode.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't ask for the agenda yet. Calm down.
Well, I'm just saying, like...
I'm just simply saying we all did one thing. There's other things, but we also did this one thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Rich, what's on the agenda?
Well, spoiler alert, we watched a movie. We all watched Scrooged, not Scrooge. Then I did not finish Immortals Fenyx Rising.
No, you
I
did.
just want to talk about a storyline in Immortals Fenyx Rising that was the saddest storyline in pretty much any video game, almost any video game I've ever.
You said you finished the story, so you finished it.
No, I finished a storyline.
That's not how games work. You finished. You're done.
No, that is how games work. Like it's like I finished one quarter of the main, like one portion of it. Like I finished one character's story of the whole encompassing game because you have to save 4 gods, and I saved one of the 4. Well, I've saved now 3, but the third of the 4 gods I saved and did their storyline. It was incredibly sad. Cobb, you watch Violent Night and Smile 2. I'm not really going to be playing. I don't know if I'm going to play I'll probably eventually play Warhammer, but I went to a Warhammer store. There's nothing there. I bought a book and some wrapping paper. That's it. Because I didn't have $60 to buy their cheapest set of miniatures.
You'll get there. Next PAX, you're going to be standing in line for 12 hours to paint them, too.
The funny thing is, I was talking with my buddy, who he recently just got into it. He got into it because of...
Save this. This is a whole topic later in the show.
This isn't anything, but it's like, it's about like the money thing. But like, he recently got into it because of Space Marine 2. And like, so we went there to meet up because I haven't talked to him or hung out with him in a while. So we hung out to like catch up, and then we went got food and whatever. And I'm looking around, and the thing I find is basically the equivalent of the Zerg. And that's what, like, appeals to me. And I'm like, I keep coming back to these guys. And he's like, yeah, those are the ones that you need the most figures for to make an army. I'm like, of course, the ones that I like are the ones you need to spend the most money on. He's like, actually, these ones tend to be like a dime a dozen. Whereas there's another army that is similar to these guys, but their miniatures are 3 times as expensive. I'm like, well, I'm glad I picked these ones. That's it. That's really it. That's all. I bought a book from there. Maybe I'll read it. Hopefully I'll read it next year.
Let's not assume you will, though.
No, I wanted to read 1 book a month this year. I read 1 book a year this year.
Hey, man.
Hey, you still got time.
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
You got a
No,
week.
come on.
You got a week.
You got a week. Hammer out. That's only 11 books in a week. Let's go.
That's not going to happen.
11
I
books
can't do that.
in 8 days.
You go to the
That's-
store, you pick up 11 little gold books.
That's 11 books in 8 days where I work most of those days.
You got this. It's fine.
No, I don't have this. Plus, I'll fall asleep if I try to read that many books in a day.
Maybe
or that
next
many
year.
books in 8 days. I'll fall asleep.
You did better in 2023. Didn't you read like 8 or 9 that year?
Last year I read the 3 for book club, plus another 2 more.
I thought you read more than that.
No, I only read maybe 6 in total. Maybe 7. But I was also, like, I didn't work for 3 weeks straight because of our company getting hacked. 2 to 3 weeks
right.
straight. Because the company got hacked. So I literally was getting paid to read because I had nothing else to do. I would log on, check every hour or 2, and sit on my couch and read a book.
Nice.
Yeah.
You just gotta find a day of the week when you're streaming to make it a reading stream.
Right.
No.
Walnut's
I read
Rainbow.
bed. I read bed, so that's not...
No. I'm not saying read out loud. I'm saying literally the stream is you sitting there reading silently.
No.
Little fire in the background,
Make it a little cozy stream.
right?
I'm sure somebody else does it.
I'm sure. Well, they did that as a April Fool's category once.
You know what I mean? Like
It
you
was,
know, like
it was. I think it was
a
like just
chapter.
reading or something like that.
Each chapter, take a little break, have a little chat with your chat, and then go back to reading.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. The length it takes for me to read a chapter, it'd be like I would talk every hour.
That's fine.
That's
Also
boring.
read books with shorter chapters.
Any of the books we read during book club, it would take me about an hour to read a chapter.
Read some
the-
Kurt Vonnegut books. Some of his chapters are literally half a page. Then the next one's like
I mean, like
25 pages. Then it's like
the
a page
books-
and a half.
I will say the books that we read, like those 3 books, all did have like long chapters.
Yeah.
I just finished one today that like every chapter was only like 4 pages. I think the longest one was 6, but it was one of those books where like it was like a 400-page book. It had 112 chapters because they're all so short.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't be able to sit in front of a computer screen and read a book. Like I wouldn't be able to do it. Like I've talked about this.
Didn't say you should sit in front of a computer screen. See, what you're going to do is you're going to set your camera up. You're going to set up in front of the sofa. You're going to get like a nice warm blanket. You're going to put it on the sofa. You're going to lay down, and you're just going to read with like a little like Drew said, like have like a little fake fireplace behind you crackling. And then like once an hour, you're just going to look up at the camera and just talk to him for a few minutes, and then go back to reading.
No, I've talked about this. Like conditions for me to read have to be optimal because I'm easily distractible. I easily lose my focus when it comes to reading. Like I need music to be playing, but it can't have words. So it needs to be like instrumental or lo-fi or something like that.
Okay.
I need to have the book literally in front of my face, and like if people are moving around, where are they going? What's going on? Like it has to be optimal conditions for me to be able to read, and that would not be optimal. It wouldn't.
Maybe reading's just not for you. Have you thought about juggling?
I can't. You've seen my what's the word?
Coordination?
Coordination, yeah. I
Well,
don't.
That's why you practice juggling and you get better coordination. You got to do like Will Ferrell's character on The Office. You have to visualize that juggling without anything, and then eventually you'll be able to add things in.
Yeah, I mean, well, I visualize reading all the time, and that
You
doesn't
just pretend
help,
to read.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I could be sitting on
I'll
that couch right now reading a book.
I'll grab a notebook and just open it up to blank pages and just like make it seem like I'm reading. And then sometimes I don't even have a book in my hand, but I pretend I have a book in my hand.
Just lick your finger, turn nothing.
Exactly.
Nice.
Turn a page, wash your hands. Turn a page, wash your hands.
See, now you're dating yourself.
We're old, guys.
Yeah.
This show has been going on for almost 10 years.
It has. You're right. Couple months. It's over 10 years.
No. This show, this podcast, is not at 520 episodes. Nowhere near. We're like a year and a half away. That'll be 10 years.
We're at episode 541.
Why did I think we were at 400?
No. We
Why did I
very
think we were at
specifically did
400?
the 10-year thing this year.
Yeah, we actually had...
Why did my brain think we were at 480 or something like that?
I don't know, man. We did 541 weeks ago. And the 10 year was the middle of April. Because our first episode was April 2014 when Captain America Winter Soldier came out.
Never mind, the show is 10 years old.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why did my brain think we were still in the 400s?
I don't know, man.
I thought we were like, when I was thinking about this the other day, it was like, my brain was like, oh yeah, we're like 480 or something like that. We were a year and a half away. My brain was like, so whatever, what would half of 52 be? 26?
Mm-hmm.
So we were roughly 78 weeks away from being 2 years. We were about a year and a half off. So whatever 78 from 520 was.
Yeah, and approximately 10 and a half minutes ago, I said episode 541, and you said, woo!
I don't listen to you.
I mean, you should know that by now, Cobb.
Also, your cursor literally on the line that says episode 541.
Oh, I'm not looking at that right now. I just moved that up there, Joe. I've been looking at the rest of everything. I had scrolled down to read everything else, so that wasn't even shown.
Wait, the whole page doesn't just fit on your screen? I thought you had a big monitor.
I've showed you what my monitor looks like.
Oh, that's right. You do a weird setup. I forgot. You like quadrant the stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot. At least I remembered. Mister thought we were in episode 480. Come on now.
I don't know why I thought we were that far back. I don't know what it was that made me think we were that far back. But this has been something I've been thinking about for like a month now.
You're trying to plan what we're going to do for the anniversary?
No, not what we're doing for the anniversary. I've been just thinking about stuff lately. I was like, oh, we're almost at 10 years, aren't we? Oh, crap. We've been doing the show for now. Because I know the website was like around for 2 years longer. And that's like what I thought, like, I don't know. My brain went, oh, the website's been around longer. And so maybe my brain was like, our 10 year was the 10 year of the website, not 10 year.
Oh, you know,
I don't know. But,
I mean, that tracks a little bit more, like if that's where your head went.
But I also completely forgot that we celebrated episode 20 weeks ago. So because I even wanted to make the joke. Now that I think about it, I wanted to do you saying this is episode 520 of PodQuest. I'm gonna be like, nice, because of 420 and 520, and I don't even think we did anything special for episode 520.
I don't remember. If we did it, it would not have been episode 520. It would have just been the episode around that date.
Yeah.
There's that too. But what did you guys think of Scrooged?
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay.
About Bill Murray.
Okay.
Does he ever not play a dick?
No. that is part of his character. So in most movies, he plays the jerk that becomes not a jerk.
Yeah. Okay.
Except in Zombieland, where he was just a sweetheart the whole time.
He just plays himself the whole time.
Yeah. Okay. Apparently, Bill Murray is actually a super nice guy.
Yeah, that's why, like, because like I was saying, because like I knew he played a jerk in this movie. Like, the movie is about Scrooge. Like, I knew he played a jerk in this movie, but like it as I'm watching, I'm like Groundhog Day, he was a jerk who then became the quote good guy. Still debatable on whether or not I like the reasoning for him getting out of the loop, whatever the reasoning was. I don't even know if we know what the reasoning was.
It was a Christmas miracle.
It was like he was a dick in that. He was the mayor in Parks and Rec, and he was kind of a dick. He was only in one episode, and it was the episode he died. And
that's right. He was the mayor for like a hot second.
And it was literally just the one episode, and he's technically no longer the mayor because he's dead. And they're playing a recording that he wanted played at his funeral, and he's kind of a dick because he's just like, I never loved my wife, blah, 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 or something like I don't know. He just sucked. And I was just like, does Bill Murray ever play a nice guy? But I guess not, because even in Ghostbusters, as much as I can remember, he's not the nicest, is he?
So, I mean, like, he's like a talk show host in that initially, too. So, like, it's not that he's not as big of a douche as he is in Scrooged or in Groundhog's Day, because both of those movies are supposed to be, like, a person who is actually just a complete asshole. Yeah. But, like, he's a little more, like, showboaty and egotistical in Ghostbusters.
Okay. Yeah. That's all. It just had me thinking. This was just like, man, this is 2 Bill Murray is a dick movies in 1 year. But yeah, I thought it was fun. It was interesting. It was cool. It's a Scrooge story, so it's been done over and over. It was a nice modern take on a Scrooge story.
Modern from '88, though, right?
Yeah, but you know what?
It's still
brother got a top of the line Pioneer VHS player.
Yeah, VHS player and recorder,
and was very excited.
You had to make sure. So yeah, I'm like, man, this guy sucks. He's the worst. Why do you need 9 TV screens in one room to watch the same thing on every TV screen? Like, I understand if you're watching multiple channels because you're a TV exec and you have to keep an eye on all of your channels and subsidiaries. But no, they were watching all of their advertisements on every single screen. And I'm like, that's just excessive.
It is a little excessive. I agree.
Bobcat, of course, fantastic in the movie. He's always great.
Yeah, I love how it's just like throughout the movie, it's just his worst day as well.
They just spend the whole movie shitting on him, and I feel so bad for it. Like, he's trying to do good, and he's like, nope, you're fired, and then he's just like, it's all downhill. It's that everyday common downhill. Like, one bad thing happens, every bad thing happens, and it sucks. I don't have a lot of negative to say about it. I don't necessarily have a lot of positive to say about it either. It was an enjoyable movie. It was like just a nice sit down movie to watch. Like it wasn't anything to really write home about, but I had fun watching it. It's a movie that I've never really seen more than the ending of. And so it was always something I've wanted to watch but never actually watched.
Okay. So I mean I quite a few times actually. So like I think we watched it like 3 or 4 years ago actually. Just I think it's one of the better like Scrooge centric movies. Drew, had you ever seen it before?
Nope, I had seen none of it before.
So what did you think then?
I actually thought it held up pretty well. I pretty much agree with Walnut on everything there. My only complaint was I feel like the end monologue kind of goes a little too long.
It did feel almost like it was more ad-lib than it probably needed to be.
Yeah,
it was too ad-lib. I feel like they could have boiled it down and made it a little bit better. It was a boring, like it was a heartfelt but boring monologue that you're right. It droned on and look, I don't know. I don't know if it's just me or what, but like he's getting fucking arrested immediately. Like
Bobcat or Bill Murray?
Both of them. They're getting arrested.
Bill Murray could probably get away with it.
No, because he turned over a new leaf. He's a good guy now. He's not going to let Bobcat take all of the blame for what happened. He's going to be the mastermind, and he's going to be the one who's going to take the blame for it. But I'm just like, I don't understand what's happening here. Because he's holding the TV station hostage to do this. And the president of the station first is mad at it, then turned around and is like, alright, it's fine. I'll just let this happen. And I'm just like, this is weird. This is uncomfortable, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit for sure.
Yeah. But that's just me thinking logistics of, like, how does this work? There's always certain movies, and it's, like, a lot of, like, 80s and 90s movies where I feel that, like, I want closure for what happens next. Because
and you just don't get it.
Yeah, and it's Scrooged, like, yeah, you get the closure of, like, alright, everyone's happy and whatnot, and he becomes a better person. But, like, do you get closure? Like, the kid said, God bless us, everyone, but does he continue to talk or not? They hold the place hostage. Like, does he get arrested? What happens? Does he lose his job? That's just me. I'm like, he's happy now, but he's going to lose his job and he's going to go to jail.
Nah, nobody's pressing charges.
Who knows?
Nobody got hurt. Everyone's fine.
I mean, and like, yeah, no one actually ended up getting hurt. A few people got scared.
I don't know. The censorship lady got hurt quite a few fucking times.
Also, but that was all separate from that.
But then
situation.
she got to make out with the other producer dude from California.
John Glover.
She's also getting arrested.
She did maybe commit sexual assault.
Yeah,
you're not wrong.
But also,
it's the 80s. Women can't sexually assault people in the 80s. So it's probably, if anything, he's going to get arrested for that. Who knows?
There's also the fact that they kind of blamed that guy, the other John Glover's character, for everything. So maybe he's the one that gets in trouble. Maybe, but that's just like, I don't know. There's so many witnesses to this, and I'm just like, this is weird. I loved the. First of all, I hate that they always say it's a Ghost of Christmas Future. It's Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. But I loved what they did with the ghost and all the puppets inside his ribcage. Oh yeah, that one was fun. Yeah. So here's something that I noticed that I'm curious what like your thoughts. Mm-hmm. So obviously this movie is called Scrooge or Scrooged, I should say. Which makes sense. Do you think that they just didn't have the rights to calling it I'm sorry, not calling it, but the production that they were doing in the movie. Did they not have the rights for A Christmas Carol? Yeah, they called it Scrooge. That literally at one point, like the voiceover when they were getting ready to like start it was, and the classic Charles Dickens story, Scrooge. It's possible. You're right. It's possible that they couldn't get the rights to A Christmas Carol. That or like
But
maybe
A Christmas Carol has to be public domain by this point. It's a 200-year-old story, even then.
Oh,
Is it public domain
or
though? Or do you think somebody actually owns the rights to it?
I mean,
well, that's the question.
yeah, I don't think so.
Especially in the 80s where shit like that was weird and people would just buy the rights to things.
I mean, dumb question. Like a Muppet Christmas Carol. Like they did Scrooge as a Muppet Christmas Carol. Maybe Jim Henson and whoever did the Muppets movies then had to get the rights to be able to do a Christmas Carol. And that's a 70s or 80s movie, right?
90s.
That's a 90s movie.
That's a 90s. Okay, so then that's actually before. That's actually after Scrooged. So.
A Christmas Carol. So things are in the public domain if they were published before January 1st, 1929, or the author died at least 100 years ago. So it's been public domain for
interesting
100 years.
Yeah. I don't know then. Maybe it was just to keep it in line with the name of the movie then?
I think so.
I just while watching it, I thought that was funny. I'm just like, this doesn't.
I was curious about that, but I feel that was probably just a choice as opposed to they couldn't.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, yeah. So, I double checked because public domain changes every year it changes. Like it's not always that year that you had mentioned, but Dickens died in 1870, and Scrooge was 1988. So that was 100 years after he died. So yeah, it was definitely even at that point. Public domain.
All right.
But yeah, that's I'm sure maybe it's I guess maybe they just wanted to call it Scrooge to stick with the Scrooged tagline.
I mean that's the only thing I can think of now knowing what actually I knew what public domain was, but I didn't really know what the stipulations were for it, especially because you have companies like Disney that just keep managing to circumvent it by throwing lawyers at it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mickey Mouse is public domain now. They can't do anything.
Oh, yeah. Now it is, but it spent a lot of years.
Yeah, it was constantly changing, constantly pushing it back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. Yeah, there's no real. Here's another thing I want to say about Scrooged. Apparently, Johnny Knoxville's in it.
As a child?
No, the cabbie looks just like Johnny Knoxville.
Oh, I don't see that at all.
Christmas Past.
Yeah, I don't.
To me, he looks just like Johnny Knoxville.
I've never thought that, but
no, I was like, man, this guy looks just like Johnny Knoxville. It's crazy. And he actually acts like Johnny Knoxville too, like a young Johnny Knoxville, not a.
Okay, attitude wise, a little bit he is a little over the top abrasive like that.
But that whole with the girl going to the TV station and the ghost of Christmas Past is just like, oh yeah, I'm going to pick her up and bring her there and bring her to the exact floor she needs to get to in 3 minutes. I'm like, that's a little, I mean, yeah, suspension of disbelief and everything. This is a movie where these ghosts are real and he's not just a hallucination of what he's living, of him being overstressed and living through what he's living through. These events actually happened to him because he knows what is going on at his brother's house. But it was just that was weird that the ghost picked her up and brought her there. I don't know why. I just thought it was weird.
Cabby's got to make a living somehow.
He's a ghost. He doesn't need a living. He just hotboxes his car and gets high all the time.
You don't know. Also, let's be real. Dude was smoking a cigar. He was not getting high. He was just weird.
He was hotboxing his car. He was getting high. All the windows were up. There was just nothing but smoke in there.
It's fucking December in New York City. Of course his windows are up.
Cigars don't make that much smoke. They make a lot of smoke. They don't make that much smoke to hotbox like that.
Agree to disagree.
He was definitely emptying that thing out. That was not just a cigar.
Look, I mean, she was smoking weed when they were doing the past stuff. So
that's true. Yeah,
I think they probably mentioned weed a few times throughout the movie. I think
at least once or twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that was illegal back then.
Yeah, which also that blew my mind that they actually had a scene with weed smoking in it in the 80s. Because
I mean, there are a lot of movies with people smoking weed in the 80s.
I know, but an adult movie, and this isn't necessarily adult, but you think Dazed and Confused and things like that, where
movies from the 90s.
Is that from the 90s? Okay. Cheech and Chong, where it's movies about delinquents and about potheads. This wasn't necessarily about potheads. It was just them casually smoking it, which was that's actually pretty cool. I'm surprised. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, like at the moment I am drawing a blank, but I'm like, that's not that rare. And now I'm just like, I can't think of any movies that do that.
No movies that aren't stoner movies. And that's like really where I'm like, this is a Christmas movie from the late 80s that they had her smoking weed in, which I was just like, that's nice. Awesome. But you know Bill Murray's probably a huge pothead his whole life.
Oh, probably. Yeah. Anything else either you guys have to say about Scrooged?
One thing I noticed when during the Ghost of Christmas Past scene, I feel like there had to almost be a mistake in the years on the like the meter, because he would have only been like 17 when it does the like jump forward from when he was watching the TV and his mom leaves
to when he meets the woman.
Yeah, to when he's working in the studio. I'm pretty sure it only went forward 13 years, and he was just 4 in the scene before. I'm like, is he really supposed to be 17 right now?
Well, I thought he was supposed to be 17 coming out of that store, like when they meet.
But that was all that same, because he left the work Christmas party.
Yeah.
Oh,
to
right.
meet her. I'm like, is he really only 17 working in this TV studio?
And that was in the late 60s, or was that in the 70s?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it went from 50 or
it definitely 55. Said 68 at one point.
Yeah, it went from 55 to 68, and I'm like, okay, that's only a 13-year difference. Like, was that right?
I think I just missed some of the didn't take in, because I remember it. I remember seeing 68, and then there's the scene where they meet, where she hits him in the face with the door.
Yeah, that's literally all. I mean, that's the same scene.
But in my head, I thought that it then jumped multiple years further to like the studio scene where like he's the dog.
Well, yeah, that's after that.
That's why
that's a few years later. Yeah,
they met when he was like 17, 18, and then it jumped ahead to him in like his mid 20s. Because like in this movie, they're both only in their mid to late 30s.
All right, so this is 80smoviesguide.com. Frank was too old to have seen the TV shows he recalls as childhood memories. At least he didn't see them as a kid. The timeline of the film sets off that he was born in 51, as he's 4 years old when Christmas 1955. That would make him 17 in 68, the year that he meets Claire and is working in the mailroom at IBC. The courtship of Eddie's father, 1969 to 72, aired when he was 18 to 21, and Homecoming episode of Little House on the Prairie, 74 to 83. So, you're right, Drew. He was 17. However, in the late 60s, drinking age was 16 in the United States. So, like, it really does. It's possible. It makes sense that he was.
I just more like, did he really have this job?
He was a mailroom clerk. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
but
he had the job.
It just didn't feel like it made sense.
Yeah, there weren't child labor laws in the 60s.
And back then, that was kind of like the entry. Like, you don't have really a college degree position.
It wasn't even in a mailroom. Still been in high school.
I mean, you don't. Yeah, probably. But at the same time, maybe not. Maybe he dropped out.
I mean, maybe
he had a pretty shitty home life. He probably didn't graduate high school. But yeah, man, continuity matters is what we're learning here.
Mm-hmm.
Continuity matters. But are we going to do Muppets Christmas Carol just to round this all out, like we had talked about?
It's up to you guys. We could do another Scrooge movie. I don't care.
I'm okay with it, just to round out
holidays.
To do the only other good Christmas Carol movie.
We could do the original Christmas Carol movie.
Nope. The only other one that's watchable is a Muppets Christmas Carol. Drew, what do you think?
I'll watch it for sure. Right. It's fucking good.
All right. In 2 weeks, we will be watching a Muppets Christmas Carol as our post-Christmas holiday book club.
I'll probably just watch it within the next few days.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
I'm not gonna wait until the 4th or 5th of January to watch a Christmas movie.
Maybe we'll watch it on Christmas. Who knows?
I mean, you're not going anywhere on Christmas. You got all the time in the world.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We might actually watch. There's apparently like a zombie Christmas movie called Anna and the Apocalypse that we're probably going to either watch tonight or tomorrow.
Nice.
And then I might. Excuse me. Might also try and watch that Red One movie, the one with The Rock and Chris Evans, because apparently it's on Netflix or Amazon.
Oh, is that the new one, Red One?
That's the one that just came out. The one where like The Rock works for Santa Claus and Chris Evans is like some sort of like thief that gets hired to help find Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So yeah, might do that. But before any of that, Rich, tell us about about how you finished Immortals Fenyx Rising.
I didn't finish Immortals Fenyx Rising. I still have to do like 3 more islands, plus if I do the DLCs, but apparently none of them are really attached to the game, and they're all separate games and whatnot, so...
So you beat the game?
No.
Sure, you heard it, like, he beat the game, right?
Maybe.
I got through Hephaestus' story. Hephaestus, for anyone who doesn't know, is the blacksmith of the gods. He's the son of the god, or he is a god. And he's a god of the forge, god of blacksmithing. He makes Zeus his lightning. He makes the weapons and the armors of the gods and things like that. However, he is like, I don't know exactly, but he was born. I pulled up his wiki because I wanted to talk about this and need to know a little bit more. He was ugly and weak with some broken dogs, is what the wiki says. I don't really know what that means. But, like, basically, he was so ugly that they abandoned him and threw him off of the castle and was like, "You're gross. We don't want to associate with you." And he was basically just abused his entire life. This is the story of Hephaestus, like the god of the forge. He was abused by his siblings, by his parents, his entire life.
So he's the one that makes the lightning bolts for Zeus.
He's the one that makes the lightning bolt for Zeus and all the other special weapons. You meet Hephaestus in God of War 3, I believe. He helps you with one of your weapons or something like that. But he's just like, yeah, they abused him his entire life. And so in Immortals Fenyx Rising, you're going around rescuing some of the gods. It's Aphrodite, Athena, Ares, and Hephaestus. Because they have lost their essences, because Typhon, the fire titan, I believe, has like stolen it or caused them to lose their essence, and you have to help them gain it back. And so you run some trials, you do some things, you run around and you help them out, and each character has like their own little storyline about them relearning to be themselves or being themselves, and like maybe learning how good or bad of a person or god they were. And Hephaestus, he turns into one of his automatons. In this world, he makes robots, and he was turned into one of his automatons, and he lost his memories, and that's why he doesn't have his essence. So you're running around trying to like reestablish his memories. You at one point find Pandora's box, and you relight the Forge of the Gods and things like that, and then finally it's like, oh, we know where your essence is. We have to go rescue it. You go in to save it, and to save his essence, you have to go and find all of his traumatic memories that he's storing away in this vault, capture them into Pandora's box, and then give them to him so he remembers his trauma.
Jesus.
Yes. And I did that sequence yesterday, and the whole time you're running through it like it's doing audio clips of like, here's this sequence, here's something that happened, here's something that happened, and him like pleading with his brothers and sisters, pleading with Ares, pleading with who was he married to? He was married to Aphrodite, pleading with her at one point, like just pleading and like wanting to be accepted. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, I am so sorry, Hephaestus. This is terrible. And like it's a story of like, you know, your trauma makes you like, no one should have to live through trauma, but your trauma makes you who you are. And he forgets who he is because he forgot his trauma. And so then he was living life happy, but then you have to make him remember his trauma, unfortunately, and turn him back into who he was. And it was just so sad. Like, one of the saddest things I've ever had to do in a video game, to where if this was a side quest, I would not have finished it. I would have been like, nope, I don't want you to remember past trauma that you don't remember. I don't, because that sucks. And I just felt so bad.
Like a rough one.
It was so sad. Like the whole movie's like the whole game's like kind of tongue in cheek and silly, and then you get to this. And you get to helping Hephaestus and forcing him to remember his past traumas so that you can become himself again. And it's just like, oh man, this was hard. This was so hard. And I felt so bad that like I needed to talk about it. Because I was just like, it sucks. It sucked. And I felt bad for it. I felt bad completing this quest. To where like, I don't often play games again. probably won't ever play this game ever again just because I don't want to have to do that to him anymore. I don't want to have to do that to him again.
I mean, just remember, it's a fictional character in a game.
It doesn't matter. It's still like it's still sad to do something like that. Like you can say it's a fictional character, but when you play Valkyria Chronicles, anytime you play it and the sister gets shot and killed, it's like, oh, that's sad. That's depressing.
Mhm.
It's a sad sequence.
I have no idea what you're talking about, though.
Have you never played Valkyria Chronicles?
Nope.
Oh, you're missing out.
That first
You're
game's
missing out.
fucking great.
First game's great. The second two aren't that great. The third game is good, or the fourth game is good.
I've heard good things about them. I've never actually played them.
They're awesome. But like I can't think of any like strictly incredibly sad sequences in games anymore. That I've experienced. Like I can't think of anything that like it sticks out to me. But I feel like I'm always going to remember having to force Hephaestus to basically relive and remember all of his past trauma.
Yeah. You're a real asshole, is what I'm hearing.
I felt bad, and even like they
But
even
you
mentioned it in.
felt bad, but you did it anyway.
Right?
In order to beat the game, you have to. That's like I said. If it were a side quest, I wouldn't have done it. But it wasn't a side quest. It was the main quest.
So
Part of the main quest.
you put your finishing of a game ahead of a fictional character's feelings.
Yes, I had to
Wow.
in order to beat the game.
Wow. How are you enjoying the game otherwise, though?
I really enjoy it. It's a really fun combat system. It's very very Ubisoft with a ton of collectibles, climbing towers. Very Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild coded and whatnot. But it's like it makes all that stuff fun. Like you had mentioned to me, like you called me Mr. 100% when we were talking about it in our group chat, and like it's not exhausting to do these additional content, these unlocking these chests, doing some of these the equivalent of shrines and whatnot. It's not exhausting. I'm not dreading it. I'm not rolling my eyes at it because some of the puzzles to figure out how to open these chests or get these abilities or get these upgrades or whatever, they're actually like they're fun to figure out. They're fun to figure out like how do I get this? How do I get that? How do I figure out this area? And like I'm enjoying clearing the map, and I don't even know if I'm clearing 100% of the map because they don't unlock the map when you unlock the region because it's to me it's the dumbest. Apparently they did this in Breath of the Wild, but I don't fully remember. When you climb a tower, it shows the region, but it doesn't show you everything you can do in the region. You then have to peer around and like mark.
Yeah.
Like it like you find like, oh, there's a thing of ambrosia. It'll tell you that there's something in your icon, and then you have to like scan it, and it'll mark, oh, there's ambrosia, there's a chest, there's a this, there's a that. But there's just so much to do. Whereas like I feel like Breath of the Wild, all it really had for it was 109 shrines?
Yeah, something like that. And like there were a few other like places of interest to go. But yeah, generally in that you'd go up, you'd unlock the tower, it would shade in the map so that the map wasn't blank anymore.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't point out points of interest. You'd actually have to look around and then drop a pin on it. And then once you actually went to the spot, it would fill it in as like a shrine or a town or whatever.
Yeah. Whereas this, like, you'll mark like, oh, that's ambrosia. You see it's ambrosia, you mark it. It's now on your map as ambrosia, or a shrine, the equivalent of a shrine, or a chest or whatever, and it'll like mark it whatever it is and keep it on your map. But it just because I have to track and figure it out. Like I don't know if I'm gonna get 100% on this game because I don't know if I'm getting 100% of everything on this game. But it's good. I enjoy the combat. I enjoy the gameplay. I enjoy the tongue-in-cheekness of the comedy and the story. And I just, again, I like that they're doing Greek mythology right in a sense that Zeus is a dick. And like some of the gods you don't really like. I'm excited to see what they do with Ares because Ares isn't a bad guy. Like he's the god of war, sure, but like he's not a bad guy. He's not I mean, maybe he is. Fucking Aphrodite cheated on Hephaestus with Ares, which is funny that you're three of the four gods all have a really close connection with each other with Aphrodite's Ares and Hephaestus in this game. It's going to be interesting to see if that plays into any of like the story content going on or not.
Do you have an idea how much you have left?
Uh, I have 3 locations in the game left to unlock. It would be um, Ares's area, the Mount Olympus area, and the Gates of Tartarus. So Hades.
Okay.
But like going into the Gates of Tartarus, going to Hades. I think that's endgame. I think you don't unlock going to. From what I'm reading, you don't unlock the ability to go to Mount Olympus until you unlock and help out the 4 gods. But I don't really know because the game, like similar to Legend of Zelda, it's like, all right, you can go fight Typhon, or you can go get help from everyone. And then there's not like a lot of guidance. A lot of the quests that I have just been on the map since I started the game, because the only reason I haven't gone to them is because they're not in regions I'm not at yet. Or like I did one quest in the Gates of Tartarus area, and that was way over leveled for me, and I wasn't able to. I died in one hit, so like I had to just like sneak my way through to do that quest to come out. So I had the bird with me the whole time. So like there's a bunch of quest lines I still have to get through. There's a lot to the game. I'm hoping I'm gonna have it done by Sunday this week.
Oh, nice.
Hoping. I mean, I get off work 2 hours early tomorrow, and so I'm planning on streaming, hoping to go live by 5 or 6. But I also have to edit the videos I want to post on Saturday. I still have to edit those. So I'm gonna try to work on one or both of them after work tomorrow. So I might not be able to go live as early as I want, but we'll see.
But you'll go live and you'll play some more of this, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and I'm going live today and playing more of it. I'm gonna take a week or 2 off of Monster Hunter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to say about Immortals Fenyx Rising?
No, not right now. It's kind of annoying that like a lot of the DLC isn't connected to in-game. That to get to it, you have to access it in a menu on the game and then do it or something like that. I don't really know, which makes me like
That does sound stupid.
makes me not want to do the DLC. It's weird, but we'll see. Let's
Nice.
see if I end up doing it or not.
Right. Well, I watched 2 movies over the last couple of days. One of them was holiday themed. One of them was not. I will start with the holiday themed one, which was Violent Night. Are you guys familiar with this one at all? Like, do you know what it is?
Nope.
Rich?
No.
So this is the one with David Harbour from Stranger Things as Santa Claus.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And so I thought he was just like action Santa Claus. Turns out that's not the case. He's actually drunk, disgruntled, unhappy, ready to quit Santa Claus. And as he's making what could be his final like outing as Santa, he just gets he kind of like gets dieharded into this militant group taking hostage this uber rich family to steal a bunch of money that they have in a vault in like their basement, and like millions of dollars. Hundreds of millions, I think it actually was. And it really is one of those, like, Santa was just there delivering presents when these guys attacked. And then, because he's kind of disgruntled, his magic wasn't quite working. And then the reindeers take off without him. So he's literally, like, stuck there. And the first probably half, maybe 2/3 of the movie is him sort of getting into confrontations with, like, miscellaneous bad guys and, like, eventually taking them out. But, like, having a tough go of it. The last third is him kind of coming to terms with what he has to do and just fucking obliterating people. And I gotta say, it's pretty fucking cool watching Santa Claus just walk through like a group of like armed mercenaries and just fucking murder all of them. It also adds a fun little lore to Santa Claus that in this version, 1100 years ago, he was actually a Viking warrior, and like his whole like history back then was literally killing people with a giant hammer.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really get into how he became Santa Claus, but they do kind of show these like flashbacks of him like as like the Viking warrior. And at one point earlier in the movie, after he fights off one of the guys, he ends up stabbed, and like he takes off all like his jacket and shirts and all, and you see he's just covered in scars and tattoos. And you're just like, what the fuck is this Santa Claus? Like, what has he been doing? And then like you slowly find out that little bit about his past, and once he kind of embraces it, he finds like a sledgehammer and just starts fucking destroying people. He kills one guy with a candy cane. Well, actually kills more than one guy with a candy cane. But like he's just kind of like hiding in the shadows, and he picks up one of those like giant candy canes, and he's just like sucking on it for a while. and he kills a few guys with his hammer, and then he pulls the candy cane out of his mouth, and it's like a prison ship at that point, and he's just walking around like stabbing people in the eyes with it and the necks, just really brutal stuff.
I have it in my head canon now that there's a post-credit scene, even if there isn't, where he falls off a roof and Tim Allen is the one who's picking up the card.
Even better. And then so one of the head like villain in this is also John Leguizamo, which is always good.
Yeah,
he's just fun and stuff. And then so the family does suck. Like none of them are good people. The closest one is like the estranged wife of like the one of the family members, and their daughter is like are like the two like mostly good ones, and the guy is like somewhere in between. Like he wants to get away from his family, but he also doesn't know how to do it, sort of thing. But is also, you know, a little shitty on his own. But you find out early on in the movie that the girl who 10 or under is her age. I don't remember exactly how old she was. Had just seen Home Alone for the first time. And there is a whole segment of this movie where she Home Alone booby traps the attic. And it is, I don't know if it's just because like the movie like focused on it a little bit more than like the Home Alones do, and there's less of that comedy effect from it. But like a lot of the stuff that like she did were just straight up the things that like Kevin did, just so much more brutal. Like she does like the nail on the step thing, but instead of the guy accidentally stepping on it and having the nail go through his foot, he falls on a ladder and it goes through his lower jaw. So he just has like the nail through the bottom of his chin and up into his mouth and through his tongue also. And then he has to like pull that, like he eventually pulls his head off of there, and then falls off the ladder and lands on like a bed of nails, like in his like anus and stuff. So just like very brutal. And you could tell this little girl didn't really know like that was going to happen, but it happened. And then she has, remember in the Home Alone movies, how like, I want to say he put like a, like cans of paint on strings and like threw them down the stairs, and it kept knocking, Joe Pesci and, what's his name down, Daniel Stern down the stairs. In this one, she sets up like a little slope of bowling balls, and the person that's in the attic already is like able to like kind of get out of the way, but the guy who just, you know, fell on a bed of nails does not. So he gets hit with a bunch of bowling balls in the face and groin and stuff. And then when they're finally done and he stands up and he like picks up one of the nails that he like pulls out of himself and like holds it up to look at it, his partner who's upstairs picks up a bowling ball and like throws it behind her. And of course that's what kills him. It falls right on the nail and like right into his head. And it was that sort of like stupid action, but like, yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah. And then they did the stupid, they did the Peter Pan thing of Santa's powers only work if people believe in him. So at the end, he almost dies, and he does die for a minute. And then everyone's basically like, well, we still believe in you, Santa. And he comes back to life. And even he's just like, I don't really understand how these powers work. Yeah, it was a fun movie though. It is on Amazon, and it's like 2 or 3 years old now. So it's not super new anymore. And it's just like, it's a stupid action Christmas movie, which I feel like they're making more of in the last few years, especially like I was saying, there's that Rock one that just came out. And I think there was another one a couple years ago that was a little more like, it was a little more comedy focused, but still like an action Christmas movie. This one was more in vein of Die Hard, but more like brutal.
Yeah.
But I had fun with it, and glad we decided to watch it. And then the other thing we checked out was Smile 2, a sequel to Smile. And this movie just came out a few months ago, like September, October. So the first Smile I talked about earlier this year because we had only just watched it. There's like this weird thing that gets passed to people if they see another person die with it. And it's basically this demon or something possesses people, makes them like hallucinate and see shit and just essentially go crazy for 6 or 7 days. And then finally it kind of compels them to go kill themselves in front of at least one other person. And whoever that person is that sees them kill themselves then gets infected with like the thing, and they carry on the curse or whatever it is. So the end of the first one has like that character die, and it gets passed on to somebody. And this one, like, actually opens up, like, with that person on his final day. And he's actually trying to use it to murder drug dealers. So he was like, I want to say he was a cop in the first movie. And so, like, he goes and he finds, like, some drug dealers in, like, their shitty house and is getting ready for it to happen. And, like, things go wrong and he ends up killing both of them by mistake. Like, not by killing himself. And then ends up killing himself when the thing takes over and somebody else sees it. And that person was just, like, a lowly drug dealer. Like, he was the guy that goes there to, like, pick up his shit to sell to, like, his friends. And so, like, that's kind of how the movie starts, and it ends up being, like, a pop star that gets it this time. And, like, they're trying to make her, like, an amalgamation of, like, a bunch of different, like, pop stars, because, like, she definitely has, like, the over-the-top, like, stage persona thing, like a Lady Gaga sort of setup, but has, like, a history of, like, drug and alcohol abuse, and had been in, like, a really bad car accident the year before, and was, like, this was, like, her comeback tour. So all of her sort of eccentric, like, weirdness that she was doing through the movie, people kept, like, accusing her of, like, relapsing and being on drugs again or being overly stressed. And, like, just everything just kept getting, like, blamed on her, like, essentially falling off the wagon. Meanwhile, she's actually losing her mind and just not knowing what's going on. Because at least in the first movie, the lady that had the thing happen to her, she was, like, a doctor and did a bunch of research and kind of, like, put the pieces together. This girl had none of that. Like, it wasn't until pretty far in the movie where somebody finally, like, gets a hold of her that's been trying to, like, track everything down. And, like, she just doesn't believe him at first until, like, he starts, like, saying stuff that's, like, it's not exactly what she's experiencing because every hallucination is, like, unique to the person. But, like, that's finally the thing where she's like, oh, like, you're serious. Like, I'm going to kill myself. And it just kind of escalates from there where she both hallucinates killing people and actually kills some people, like, thinking that they are hallucinations. And yeah, it's a wild movie the way that they do this, because you're never sure if it's actually happening to her or if she is just having some sort of hallucination. Because there are times where at one point in the movie she has, like, a friend over and she calls that friend and then, like, sits down to, like, work on a song and then gets scared by something, thinks somebody is, like, in her apartment, has like a whole, like, breakdown. And then her friend gets there and, like, she hugs her friend and she's like, I'm glad you got here so quickly. She thought it had only been, like, 15 minutes. And the friend's like, you called me, like, an hour and a half ago. Like, it actually took me a lot longer to get here than I thought. And then, like, 2 scenes later, she has, like, a nightmare, wakes up, like, in the middle of the night, sees a bunch of stuff, like, moving in her room. And then all of a sudden, like, the lights are on and her friend's walking into the room and she's like, hey, I made coffee. And the girl's just sitting there like, it was just night. And now I'm late. Now it's daytime and my alarm never went off. So, like, all sorts of weird stuff just kept happening to her. And she couldn't explain it to anybody and also didn't understand what was going on. So you're kind of left watching the movie, like, trying to figure out what is, like, quote unquote real and what isn't. Which is fun for a movie like this. It's not just a, like, thriller horror setup. It's more like almost like a whodunit. Like, what is actually happening in this movie and what is all just a figment of her imagination. And I feel like the first one did a good job of that too, but I think this one, because it was a slightly larger scale with, like, a public figure, made it a little more interesting to, like, follow, because she did have so much going on with so many different people and people recognizing her in public and stuff. So when she was kind of having these, like, freakouts and breakdowns, like, her, like, team and stuff were then being like, we have to do stuff, like, you have to get out in front of this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't want to spoil the ending, but if you've seen it, you're like, you know how it ends. It was quite a surprise ending, I will say. I did not expect. I expected, like, the final outcome to happen, but I didn't expect, like, kind of how many layers deep it went to get there.
Gotcha.
Which was nice, because, like, early on, like, we're sitting there, not early, but, like, nearing the end, we're watching it. I'm like, oh, like, the door got left open, so, like, the person's probably still there and is going to come in at, like, the last second, and then it's like, oh, wait, is the door closed now? So there was a lot of like the movie kind of, like, playing with that stuff, where if you're not paying attention to the things in the background, you're actually, like, not missing stuff, but like not quite not knowing exactly what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting though, and a little creepy. Yeah, those movies, I enjoyed them. I watched them.
Yeah, the sequel sounds a little bit more like a psychological thriller than the first one did, it seems.
So they're both definitely psychological thrillers. I feel like this one actually, you saw her really kind of lose it more because on top of her just like freaking out and having like a ton of stress going on, causing like everyone around her to just like think that she was like actually like relapsing. Part of like some of the hallucinations she has are like the trauma she had a year ago when she was in like a car accident.
Yeah.
So like there were all these layers where the first one was more like the lady she was a doctor and there wasn't really anything like wrong with her leading up to it. Like she didn't really start to break until the girl that passed it to her like killed herself in front of her. So like a lot of people just like in that one it was, well, you just watched somebody murder themselves in front of you, like you need time off. And so her like descent into madness was not ignored the same way, but just didn't feel as like focused, and people just kind of let it happen in the first one. In this one, like you really got to see her like struggle and try and like fix things and keep getting pushed into public situations. Like there was a point in like the midway where she had to get up on stage to like announce an award, and she had a teleprompter to read, and because she's hallucinating, the teleprompter, at least for her, kept like freezing and showing the wrong like things to say, and then she would like see people, and at one point she accidentally threw an old woman off the stage thinking it was somebody else. So like it wasn't just like a doctor kind of like her private life going down the drain. It was like this public display of this woman's life like basically being ruined. So yeah, I'd say you don't have to watch the first one to watch this one. They give you enough info in the second one that if you've never seen the first movie, you can just jump into this one and like figure it out as you go. The first one just helps you a little bit with the intro because it's the guy from the first movie, and with some of the explanation that comes late in the movie. But yeah, otherwise it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was also there was like a sale for like the rental. Like I don't know if it's staying that way or not, but it had been a $20 rental on Amazon, and we happened to look and it was only like a $4 rental. So I'm like, well, we're just going to rent it now while it's super cheap. And even if we don't watch it right away, you get 30 days to watch it as long as you don't start it. Once you start it, you have, I think, 48 hours.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But I'm like, well, it's cheap. Let's just rent it now while it's cheap so that if we want to watch it, we don't have to pay $20 to do it.
Yeah, I like that. I have to look out for more of those. There's so many movies I want to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, and like it's cool, like yes, like for you it's not cheaper to rent a movie like for $20. For like Eric and I, it is because like two people going to the movies is going to be more than $20.
Yeah.
But like, when you can rent a movie for $6, that's definitely cheaper and more convenient.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is all I've got. So Rich, not how is like when are you going to become a big Warhammer guy?
I don't know. We'll see.
When are you going to convert your house into a Warhammer shrine?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I just like
you talked a little bit about this earlier.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about it. Like, a friend of mine is getting into Warhammer, so I, by proxy, may like join him every once in a while and play games and whatnot. We went to the Warhammer store out in Voorhees, which is literally called Warhammer. It's not called Games Workshop anymore. It's called Warhammer. Or they don't do Games Workshop stores anymore. It's just called Warhammer as the store, and it's officially licensed and ran through the Warhammer company that bought through Games Workshop that owns Warhammer. And it was cool to go in there. They do like it's the atmosphere was cool. The owner is really nice. They do like free learn to paint sessions and things like that. They have community nights where people can come and play. They do like big games, small games, whatever. I don't think I'm ever going to dive that far into it. Who knows? It's just probably going to be play in passing with my buddy every once in a while or something like that.
You can't use them if they're not painted.
In tournament play, you can't use them if they're not painted.
I know. Really?
Yeah. So You can use them if they're not painted, but you get bonus points if they are painted.
Oh, is that they used to be legitimately you could not use them if they were not painted?
That's what he told me. Let me just read it because like he got a bunch and he's going to be painting on, and he was like I was like, yeah, I'm open to play Warhammer if you ever want to teach me and whatnot. And he's like, I'll keep you posted how painting's going. And he's like, we could technically pay without painting. Like unpainted is just good. And he's like, in Warhammer tournament rules, that's technically not true. Points bonus for fully painted. So you get bonus points or something for fully painted. So you can, because some people just can't paint. Some people, but like they try to promote that by saying like, who cares? They give paint tutorials of how to paint each character. They literally, when you go online and buy a box, they tell you exactly what paints you need for each character or for each miniature. So it's not just like yeah, you can paint them however the fuck you want. You can paint them hot pink if you wanted, but like there's also like, okay, this is like canon game lore. This is how you paint each character or each miniature, and it's like, all right, that's pretty cool. Like it's an interesting atmosphere. He's not the only person I know that plays Warhammer, but we'll see what happens. I don't have that kind of money. I really don't. It's an expensive hobby. Like the way the guy who works there explains is like at first, and it's an expensive hobby because you're trying to build up your army, and it's like, so it's like a drafting system. Each miniature is worth X amount of points, and like a 2,000 point army is like the average of what is generally what they play, like tournament or whatever. I don't really know. That might be way too high. I don't know the point base. But like at first, if you want to get your full army, you can get your full army, and it's going to cost you a couple $100 or whatever to get like the total army that you need for tournament play or for just general play. But then afterwards, you're buying like one or two things every once in a while. If it's, oh, this is something new that I want to add to my party, I can buy that.
Let's be realistic. When you get into Warhammer, it's a life, and you're never only buying one or two things.
Oh yeah,
you're buying stuff weekly. You're painting 7 days a week. It takes over.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And like I personally do not find painting very therapeutic. Like especially miniatures. Like I don't have that kind of coordination to paint miniatures. I don't find that therapeutic. I feel like I would hate it. I feel like it would just be frustrating to me. Like I'll paint, like I did a paint and sip for a friend's birthday a few months ago, back in October, where I painted a plate that was my logo for Twitch. And I was like, this was fun, but it's a bigger canvas and more room to fix mistakes. But to paint something so miniature and so tiny and have to be so delicate, I'm not delicate. You guys have seen my handwriting. I can't do delicate.
The amount of detail people manage to put into that shit is mind-boggling.
Dude, it's insane. It's insane. But like, I've watched tutorials on how to paint miniatures and painting and like just like the different things that people do. Like a black wash does so much to a miniature, because you water down some black paint and then you paint over what you've just painted, and it makes it look so much different. And it's like, that's not something I ever would have known to do if I didn't watch this tutorial video.
Yeah. I tried to do panel lining on like a Gundam model and I just couldn't. Yeah. Like it came out so fucking messy and sloppy. I'm just like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
But like you see people doing it and like it comes out and it makes like just putting black lines where like the panels come together makes the whole thing look totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. People that can do that shit it's crazy.
It is. It's fascinating, and I'm happy for anyone who can do it. But I will never do it. I can't say I'll never do it, but I don't think I'll find enjoyment out of it. Where like I don't really have the urge to, like, I have tons of miniatures for D&D. I have all of the Monster Hunter World board game. Can you really call some of them miniatures? Not really. But I have all the Monster Hunter World board game miniatures that I would love to paint or get painted. I don't have that kind of ability and color knowledge to be able to do it. So I'm just not going to do it. I'll get somebody else to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like the right move, too. Like,
yeah.
Just get somebody that's good at it to do it for you.
Yeah. And that's like the thing that my buddy got into into Warhammer was he started playing 40K. He started playing Space Marine 2, and he got interested in the lore. Is what it was more so than the actual game.
Apparently, like Warhammer lore is fucking nuts.
It's I've seen a few videos and heard a few things here and there about it, and it can get crazy. And like the community can sometimes about the lore be a little toxic. Like I heard, like they changed the world with like there's a group of there's like a strike team that you can get that are all female, but normally they're only ever male or something like that. That people like threw a fit over or something like that.
You're telling me nerds on the internet got angry about something that had to do with girls?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like from what I hear, it's like crazy lore, and I'm like that's probably more that would interest in me than anything else is just the lore of the world and everything. Like I ended up buying a book because like I kind of felt bad hanging out in the store for as long as I did and not buying anything. Especially because the guy was offering us like free food and shit like that because it was their Christmas party that day. So like I kind of felt bad. So I was like, all right, well they had Warhammer gift wrap, which I was like, oh, this looks actually cool. It's just red and it's got like goblins and the gingerbread men are like have like evil gingerbread men teeth on them and like candy canes and tanks and stuff. I was like, this is cool. Sure, I'll buy this. And I was like, I'll pick up a book. I'll buy one of these books. Not gonna spend $1 million and like so I wanted to find the most sci-fi book that they had because or the sci-fi looking book because it's Warhammer. It is sci-fi, but it's fantasy sci-fi. It's like a combination of the two. And I wanted to find something that leaned more on the sci-fi end because I've read mostly like more fantasy. I guess you could say I've read more of. I don't know. I guess it's pretty much. Well, I guess it's probably like 50-50, but like I wanted to lean a little bit more on sci-fi. So I bought The Assassinorium Kingmaker is the book. It's a Warhammer 40K book. It's about like a sniper strike team or something. I don't really know. It looked cool. The font looked cool. So I was like, let me give it a shot. Hopefully I like it. If not, at least I read it when I read it. We'll see.
Yeah. Apparently, like everything I've heard, like the lore is really cool. Apparently, some of the games are fun, like the Warhammer 40K, like
Space
PC games and stuff.
Yeah, Space Marine is supposed to be very good. And there have been other like Warhammer video games that came out that like some were free on PS Plus that I played a little bit. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. I like this. I thought I had one on Steam. I don't know. But yeah, like they have a lot of like good games and good lore. It's just getting into the main game itself is a little tough because it's expensive to get into.
Yep. Why I've never gotten into it as much as I would totally be interested in the mechanics of the game.
Honestly, you would. I feel like you would enjoy Warhammer more than you do D&D.
Honestly, probably.
I feel like if any tabletop game was your kind of game, it would be Warhammer, 100%. Because like Warhammer is just a war game; it's just a game about numbers and whatnot. Whereas D&D is a role playing game. So like, there's the role playing, the RPG-ness of it, the acting and whatnot. Like I feel like and there are my buddy got into strike teams, which are smaller battles, and like they're small. Like I think he ended up spending like over $100 on paints, but like he had a bunch of other figures that he had, but like he bought 20 different little paint things, and like they were all different colors. And I don't think it was just for that box; it was for everything. But I think he ended up only spending close to, I don't know, maybe close to $200, and most of that was on paint.
I guess that's actually not that bad then.
No. Like the strike teams, I think I saw one. I think it was like $40. I didn't really look at the price for that. Like I said, I didn't go looking for miniatures because I knew I wasn't going to be able to afford it. I knew I wasn't going to be able to pay to buy it
yet
at all.
I don't know, man. This time next year, you're going to be a Warhammer addict.
Probably not.
Your whole house is going to be full of unpainted minis.
Like I'll probably enjoy playing the game, but I hope I don't fall into like, all right, I need to buy this, I need to buy that, because like you're right, like it would be unpainted minis. I would never paint these. I'm too self-conscious about my skill on painting to actually want to paint them, because I'd fuck them up, I'd make it look bad, and then like I would like feel like I might need to buy a new one of that version or whatever to make it look better. Or like that's why I don't paint things myself, is because like some of these miniatures are expensive. Like
Yeah.
I don't want my Teostra that I have from the Monster Hunter World board game to look like shit because I painted it. Like I know I'm not a good painter. I know I don't have a steady hand. I know I can't do that, and I don't want to spend that kind of money on a board game and then paint it and it look bad. I'd much rather have somebody else do it who knows what they're doing and is more artsy.
Which, actually makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else?
Did you guys see that Superman trailer?
I have not.
Nope.
It looks good. Good.
I've heard it looks good. I heard crypto's in it, but I haven't watched it.
Watch it. It looks good.
I am interested to see what they can do, because I've seen a couple other comments from James Gunn about it, and some of the way he's talked about it is they're not trying to build this giant universe out of the gate the way that Warner Brothers tried to do before.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to actually tell a good story first and make a good movie.
Yeah.
And who'd have thought that might be the key?
Yeah, that's what fucking Marvel did first. They made Iron Man. They didn't make the MCU. They made Iron Man. And then the MCU came from that.
Yeah, they laid the groundwork for it in those early movies, but had it not worked, they would have been able to pivot. And DC's just no, we're just going to start at the top and work our way down, and that's not really that's not the best way to do that.
Our third movie is going to be Justice League, or their fourth movie was Justice League.
No, it was the third, wasn't it?
No, it was fourth. Superman. It was Man of Steel.
Wonder Woman came after.
Yeah, Man of Steel. Did Wonder Woman come after Justice League?
No. After Batman vs Superman, it was Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman. Yeah.
But their second movie was a team up movie and a Civil War movie.
Yeah,
of
and
characters that people didn't know. You knew, but you didn't know.
And it introduced all of the heroes in that movie instead of giving them a little bit of time to be introduced separately.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, we've talked about it before. I just don't think Zack Snyder's a good filmmaker, and a lot of that kind of falls on WB, and DC for giving him the reins to kind of build that universe. James Gunn is at least he's at least an interesting filmmaker. All of his stuff isn't perfect, but he at least seems to care and is more interested in making an entertaining movie than making a billion-dollar universe.
Yeah.
Because one of the quotes I saw from him was basically if this movie doesn't work, we're not just going to keep making them. We're going to find out what didn't work and try and fix that for another movie. We're not just going to pump these out, because they even I guess Supergirl is actually now the next movie they're going to be filming, and that wasn't originally the plan, but they thought the script was really good for that one, so they're all right, well, let's do this one next since it's the next best script we have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Though I have not, like I said, I haven't seen the trailer. The fucking clip I keep seeing of Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, God, does he look fucking stupid. With that fucking bowl cut and that dumb looking face he has. Oh man. Both poor Nathan Fillion and poor Guy Gardner. Both of them are just getting a disservice in that trailer. But yeah, that is what it is. Maybe I'll watch that later tonight. The trailer, is. Yeah.
You can watch it as soon as we're done here.
Nah, I'm going to go do other stuff. I'm tired. It's been a long day.
It takes 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's 2 minutes. I just don't want to, man.
You could look it up while we're wrapping up here, and it's even less time.
I could, but I'm not going to.
I know.
No, Cobb, neither am I.
Good. I'm glad. I hope you go see it, though. I want you to go to the theaters and see Superman.
Absolutely
and report back. I will buy you a ticket if you'll go do it.
Okay. Slightly more tempting.
I will buy you a movie ticket. You will go watch Superman. You will report back to us all of your thoughts on Superman.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be the field reporter for the day. Well, anything else you guys want to talk about?
Nah.
Now let's wrap this shit up.
Yeah.
All right. If you would like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us. All of it helps. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/OneQuestOnline or at @1_Quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/OneQuestVideo. And you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. Rich, what does your streaming look like?
Twitch.tv/B_Walnuts. We're on video game streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Immortals Fenyx Rising, Sea of Thieves, and just whatever else I get my hands on in the next few weeks, leading up to Monster Hunter Wilds at the end of February. So we'll see. I know a friend of ours is going to lend me either Ghost of Tsushima or Armored Core or both. So those might be coming into play. We'll see what happens.
Nice. Playing some games.
Yeah, just gaming.
Cool. Well, with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See you.
Bye.